morning, everybody. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talks Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Trying to remember what day it is, what show it is. Good to have you with us here this morning on this rainy, fall-like day here in upstate New York. Very dreary. After the show, I'll be heading out to watch my Patriots try to win against the Jets, and we'll get into that. I welcome everybody watching this morning on TGI Sports Talk, on Northeast Streaming Sports, on Let's Talk Sports, and any place else you might find us. I think we're on Zodiac today. Later on, you can certainly refer us. Please like and share the show, guys. I don't like bringing it up every show, but you guys can help drive this the audience per se, right? We're getting close to 2,000 followers, and I want to get over that mark ASAP. So if you'll like and share the show and invite your friends, go to TGI Sports Talk, click the three little buttons you see there across the tabs. You'll see invite friends. Do it. Invite all your friends. Just don't invite them all at once, because unless you only have 5 friends. And good morning. We want to say a good morning. If hopefully Dan will see us over there in the UK. Dan Harris, as you know, from Let's Talk Sports. I'm going to continue to say from Let's Talk Sports, even though Dan has retired. I promised Dan in our private conversations that he will always be part of this show and my shows going forward. And he'll be part of Let's Talk Sports as well. So our best wishes go out to Dan. As I've explained the situation, and I will just keep his name alive here. So please keep good thought for Dan. We're going to get into some lot of talk today. We'll watch your topics, obviously. Lots of college football. We'll start with college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball. We got Jim Beringer joining us about 8:40. We'll get into college football full bore. A lot of big games. Colorado crashes back to earth, as I said they would. Doesn't mean that Deion's doing a bad job, by the way. And kudos to Deion for no excuses. None. We got beat. Dan Lanning does a great job of firing up his team before the game, before it can be bulletin board material. Great job. In a halftime. A lot of discussion. We had some discussion a minute ago on the Mac and Jack show about some coaches being upset that Deion is able to go get the attention. Listen, that's just who he is. His job is to raise the profile at school. Anyway, that wasn't the only game, guys. Notre Dame and Ohio State play a really great second half. The first half was it was an exciting first half. I mean, there was a lot of potential scoring opportunities that went by the board. Ohio State wins a close game, 17-14. Notre Dame with 10 players on the field on a winning touchdown. A little controversy there. Florida State goes to Clemson and kind of knocks down some of their demons, if you will. They haven't won there since 2014, I believe. Nice win there. Lane Kiffin, still without a signature win. Everything's set up for him to go to Tuscaloosa and win yesterday, and it did not happen. And Washington State, I gave you guys some great picks this week. Washington State wins a big win, I think, at home as a dog against Oregon State, a good football team. So there's some other stuff to talk about there. We'll get into the NFL. Quarterbacks hurt everywhere. Joe Burrow. Should the Bengals be a little more careful with Joe Burrow, or they have a Aaron Rodgers situation on their hand? If not, we'll look at the 0-2 teams and the 2-0 teams and talk about where they're heading. Plus, getting into all your topics. And Major League Baseball, by the way, we'll get into before the show is out and look at these races that change daily. If you watch the Major League Baseball update, things have swung tremendously in the NL wildcard race, and the AL wildcard race, and the AL West. Let's get to some more good mornings and whatnot before we have Jim Beringer joining us here in just a little bit. Dave Guyette, good morning. Good to talk to you up there. And I forget if you're in Johnstown or Gloversville, Dave, but welcome. Ian is with us in Australia. Good morning. Aussie Ian here for the ride. Good to have you with us this morning, Ian. Good luck to Big Ange as he leads Tottenham. They take on Arsenal a half an hour. I'm assuming in Australian rules football. We're going to get Ian on one day, when we don't have as much going on here in the States, which is really not till February. But I missed CA. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. Anyway, we talked to Ian about some Australian rules football. Rick Sherlock loves Oregon's coach. Dan Lanning did a great job. If you can't fire up, if he can't fire you up as a player, you need to transfer to Colorado. Listen, Dan Lanning did a great job. Deion's taking a bad rap here, guys. Deion's a really good football coach. Deion's number one job when he gets to Colorado is to raise a profile. Nobody wants to play at Colorado. He's done what he needs to do. Now, he hasn't really accomplished anything, as I've said. You know, I expected him fully to be 6-6. Well, maybe they'll be 7-5. They're not winning next week at USC. I said they wouldn't win against Oregon. That does not mean it by any shape or form that Deion hasn't done a good job. And Deion coaches the way Deion coaches. Both of these sides do everything within their power. I mean, I think it was Rick, and again, I'm not sure of the context, and if I'm taking it out of context, I apologize. Let the excuses begin. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing Rick, and there were no excuses. They got their asses kicked. He knows it. He said it. I think he knows where that team really stands. He's not a stupid guy, and he knows football. You guys, you got to be able to separate the two people, the coach and the PR guy. He's done a great job on both ends. Now, part of me roots against him because of the whole turning over the roster and cutting loose guys with scholarships. But again, some of the word is he helped a lot of those guys get other spots. So we'll see. Best was the first game yesterday. The Noles, great win for the Noles yesterday. As I said, Clemson has not been a great place for Florida State to play the last 8 years. I don't think they played there every year, but obviously they haven't beaten Clemson in 8 years, basically. Clemson did help Florida State yesterday, but again, sometimes bad coaching decisions, this is something nobody accounts for. Bad coaching decisions often arise because of what's happening on the other side of the football and the coaching that's being done there. Kenny's right. Coaching cost Notre Dame. I didn't see Kenny's comment. He might have said it in our group. I didn't see it. I thought that they did a great job coaching that game last night, especially the second half until the last play. I thought they did a really good job, but you can't have 10 men on the field. And to be quite honest, I don't remember what Jim Jeffcoat's answer was this morning, Rick, when this came up, whether the man missing on the field is more important than a half yard. I got to believe the man missing is a problem. And I think to Rick's, why he didn't call timeout, he explained after the game that he did not want to give them a free play, which again, I'm not quite sure I understand. That was what it was. They didn't want to give him a chance to regroup and, maybe change the play that they had because they thought they knew what it was and they would just run with what they had. I've never really seen a coach decide to go and stick with 10 guys myself, but his option was to let them regroup because they had no timeouts, remember. So to let them regroup or go with the 10 guys that were there. So, again, it's a and you're right. You learn coaching or counting players in little giants. So bad move at the end. I thought it was a good job overall. I thought Notre Dame was going to win this game. I did bet Notre Dame. Fortunately, I was getting 3.5 points, so I come out a winner while they lose. And actually, a good day for Keith yesterday. Florida State. Notre Dame covering the Washington State at home. Good day for Keith yesterday. Plus, I played around with a fun two-team parlay last night with 2 overs and 1 on that. Good morning, Kenny. Good to see you up on the mountain there. CA, there's only one Death Valley, and it isn't in South Carolina, Louisville, or Pennsylvania. Actually, I don't think they call it. It's Happy Valley in Pennsylvania, by the way. Death Valley is been the moniker for Clemson's home field for a while. Is that what they call? Where's John DeLong today? that what they call it? No, it's a swamp, isn't it, in LSU? That's Florida. Anyway, we know the Death Valley Johnson or CH is referring to is out west. Most people root against him because the guy they knew 20 years ago. Agreed. And again, some of that guy is still here, right? He admits he's two people. He's Deion and he's Prime. And when Prime's on, some people don't like him. But you know what? He speaks plain. How many coaches coach? Look at my coach. Hello. How many coaches coach speak, and we get pissed off? Deion just says what's on his mind. He's confident. And he says those confidence bring up the insecurities in other teams. That is a way to get in the team's head. He's well in his rights to do it. Now you got to back it up. You don't back it up, then coaches like Dan Lanning will fire their team up to beat you. Somebody brought it up, and it might have been Rick. I don't know. I think it was on the college football huddle we talked about this. Will Deion's approach fire up teams? Well, you saw yesterday, the answer is yes. And Dan Lanning smartly did not say anything during the week that Deion could use. I think a bigger story coaching-wise is Ryan Day. Ryan Day rightly, and I've been hard on Ryan Day. Ryan Day, after that Ohio State game last night, rips into Lou Holtz, and other people, Lou Holtz specifically, who had said this team was not physical enough to win this game or really compete for national championships. They showed to be plenty physical last night, and I think Ryan Day was well within his rights to call people out last night. I was rooting for Notre Dame. I'll be quite honest with you. I was happy for Ryan Day. I've been hard on Ryan Day. People in Ohio State been hard on Ryan Day because he hasn't beat Michigan. And he hasn't won a national title. But it's a good football team. They're playing much better defense. Watch out for this team. Their quarterback, McCord, is playing better. Those numbers were last night. They probably weren't stellar last night. But listen, he led them down the field to that winning touchdown drive. So let's not forget that. FSU covered easily yesterday. Well, not easily. I shouldn't say that. They were behind a lot of this game. They had a pick, not a pick six, but a fumble return, quarterback sack, strip sack, run for a touchdown. Third quarter to tie the game, and then kind of took control for them. But it was an overtime victory, so, could have gone either way. I don't think Clemson is, way behind Florida State and the rest of some of these teams in talent, although Klubnik might be a bit overrated. I haven't seen him play good. He played well yesterday, but I haven't seen him play. That's the best game I've seen him play. In a big spot, best game I've seen him play, and he lost. Colorado disrespect Oregon logo, so they get their butt kicks. I didn't see any of that, Anthony. But good morning to you. I didn't see that at all. I don't think the disrespect they showed, the logo probably played into this at all, because Dan Lanning was talking about, we don't play for clicks, we play for wins. And he's right. Again, I said both coaches are right here. I can't fault Deion's approach other than I don't like the big turnover on the roster. But he's got to win. He's not going to have a job if he doesn't win. The quarterbacks for Notre Dame is not taking them to the promised land, and this is the year that they could have won the title. Disappointed in Sam Hartman's performance last night. He played well in the second half. And he really looked, talk about physical play. I mean, he didn't look good going for first down, or the one he ran for first down. Why you step away? Why are you not going right up the gut? Ohio State got stopped on a fourth down. Fourth and I think less than one, and they're running a sweep. So we talk about bad coaching on the Notre Dame side, and I'm giving Ryan Day props, but who the heck's calling that play? I thought the game was over right then and there. Fourth quarter stop. I want to say they were at the 15-yard line, 20-yard line. Rick, he didn't just want to beat them. He wanted to embarrass Deion, and ran a big punt from the 17. Fine. You know what? That's his prerogative. I've said this all along. If you feel you're disrespected, go run up the score. I don't have a problem with running up scores, calling fake punts. Up big, who cares? And again, Deion will invite some of this. He thinks he's running the right approach. The results so far show he's doing the right thing. I did say he's doing the right thing. I did say he'd get his clock cleaned this week and next week. And the team will finish 7-5 at best. And we'll talk to Jim Barringer about this. So he and I both talked about it Wednesday night as well. Yes, Notre Dame was missing a player on the D-line. Well, listen, he wanted to get a fourth defensive lineman in there. They had been playing 3 defensive linemen. And he couldn't without calling timeout. So he decided to go with 10. So the decision was made too late. As Rick said, I mean, you got to know how many guys are on the field. Hard to pull for the Buckeyes in my lifetime. This is CA, but under most circumstances, I enjoy being seeing portal transfers. Hopes for a national title dashed as soon as possible. Yeah, there's something to that. I have to root for Sam Hartman. I guess place in my heart. I've been watching this kid since he was basically junior in high school because of a show called QB1 that was on Netflix. I follow his career closely at Wake Forest because we have Larry Sorensen on a lot in the college football huddle. So I tend to pull for him, but I understand your sentiments. I mean, look at Clemson struggles because Dabo will not embrace the transfer portal fully. He does use it. He doesn't like it. He hates it. He speaks out against it. NIL. And it probably his issues are costing the program. Or everybody else is using it to their advantage. And by the way, I've softened my stance on the NIL. I've softened my stance on transfer portal, which I think are still awful. But I've softened my stance because the NCAA, the conferences, and the schools don't care about the kids. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about anything except money and this whole realignment nonsense. The Big Ten stretching from East Rutherford, New Jersey to L.A. So if they're just going to be money grubbers looking for the next best opportunity, why shouldn't the kids be? And the coaches. I left the coaches out. They do the same thing. So how do I continue to rail against the kids taking advantage of what's out there for them when the coaches do the same thing at the first opportunity they can get? And we've seen in especially the last few years, but since 2012, it's been before that. It's not like these things never happened. Leagues changing, teams moving, but this type of upheaval has never happened before. And these conferences and the universities care nothing about any of the players, the students, the fans. They don't care about anybody except money. I have music playing in the background. Do I? Did I not shut this off? Maybe you can still hear that. You might hear that louder than me. Thank you, Rick. My hearing's not so good these days. It happens as you get older. Hello, what? Thank you, Rick. Kenny, as I said, primetime. Welcome to primetime football. Yeah, no, that was a great comment. And again, I've been saying this since they beat TCU. Let's not get excited. They beat TCU, Colorado State, and Nebraska. None of them are good football teams. None of them. In fact, what did those teams do yesterday, by the way? Let's look quickly. If I can see if I can find them. So many games. I want to find, well, you know what I should do is go by conference. It'd be easier. So let's look at the Big 12. Let's see what TCU, their first victim, did yesterday. They win big, 34-17 over SMU, who's ready to join the ACC, speaking of movement. And let's see what Nebraska did yesterday. They had a weather delay for a long time yesterday. Yeah, they don't exactly dominate against Louisiana Tech at home. So, and Colorado State, not a good football team, guys. They went to overtime. They had to score in the fourth quarter and go to overtime in order to beat this team. Now, again, the over-under for this team by the experts was 3.5 wins this year. So Colorado has done well, but the reaction to those 3 wins, and again, it's because, listen, it's not really Deion's fault that Deion gets promoted. He's a self-promoter, but if it's not reported, who's gonna pay attention? Colorado State went to Middle Tennessee and won yesterday. Oh, where are we here? Drew's with us. Good morning, Drew. College sports, Olympics, money always corrupts the altruistic values of sports for sports sake. Yes, and this didn't start yesterday, right? This started with the Olympics. It started probably, 40 years ago. College football, probably about the same time. When we did away with the polling, the polls decided national championships, and we had to have the best 2 teams match up. They didn't care about getting a real national champion. They cared about money. And while I'm a proponent of the expanded playoff, I don't fool myself for a second to think they've done it for any reason other than money. You know what? I never sent Jim Beringer an invite, did I? I think that's why Jim's not here. Oh, God. My bad. Forgot the invite. Well, we'll try to get Jim in here quick. I'm not sure if I got time to do it or not, but I didn't get things ready. Had my granddaughter's first birthday party yesterday and got home a little tired. So in getting things ready, I forgot to invite Mr. Beringer into the show. But I don't know. You know what? Maybe I won't. We'll send it. We'll come back to college football if we have to. If he gets this, he gets this. If he doesn't, he doesn't. My bad. Sorry, Jim Beringer. We may not have Jim with us. I think Oregon, has a better defense than USC. That's without question. USC might have the worst defense in the Pac-10. Well, Colorado's probably got the worst defense in the Pac-10. But USC is not far behind them, and it does not look. They gave up 28 points to Arizona State. Not a good football team last night. Jim, if you're here and you still want to jump on, since it's going to be 9:00 here soon, I will send you the invite, but let me know. I don't want to send it and you feel you need to come on a half an hour late. That's my bad. Oregon definitely played great defense. And Rick did make a point. And I'll make the point. They played without probably their most dynamic. You take Shedeur Sanders. Great athlete. He had 1 yard, I think, of offense at halftime. The guy that makes this team go and is the most important player on offense and on defense is Travis Hunter. Yes, I'm not saying this game would have come out any differently either. He's a great, great player. And without him, and I don't think you'll see him next week against USC as well. That's not an excuse. I'm not saying with Travis Hunter, without Travis Hunter, I would have told you Oregon would blow the doors off of this team. But he's a great player, and it's a shame he couldn't play in the game. I want to watch great players play. And by the way, speaking of Deion showed some amazing class, I think, telling fans to stop sending death threats to this kid who puts Hunter out of the game, out of the games. It wasn't his best moment, that kid, but you get wrapped up in the moment, make stupid decisions. They are kids. I tend to forget that sometimes. We all tend to forget that sometimes. There's Jim. All right, I'll send him a link. Let me send Jim this link real quick. So anyway, I think an exciting day in college football. We'll look at these top 25 scores here in just a second. Let me get this off to Jim. Jim Beringer. So he's got to come on a little bit. He's eating his breakfast. So my bad. Oh, sometimes things go awry. So let's look at all the top 25 scores. If there's other scores you're interested in and want to bring up, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about a couple other stories that I'd written down here. And actually, they'll probably come up as we go through this. We talked about Ohio State, Notre Dame. Listen, Ohio State now controls their destiny. Notre Dame could have controlled their destiny. I don't think Notre Dame is going to be in play for a national championship now. If they run the table, it will mean they have beaten Duke and USC. If they had won this game last night and won those two games, I would say they were the best team in the country. But with the rest of their schedule, because some of those teams are down, not so much. Miami, and I think this game was 3:30 yesterday. Miami trounces Temple on the road 41-7. Miami 4-0. Florida State and Duke right now, oddly enough, I think are the teams to beat in the ACC. Duke controls its own destiny as well. They beat Florida State. You may see a Duke team in the playoff. Don't be surprised if they're in the playoff talk. Miami could sneak their way in there too, but they've had a way of letting me down quite often through the years, so we'll see. Georgia plays a game. UAB yesterday, they win the game 49-21. Mac was a little rough. UAB has had a decent football program the last few years. They had the difference between UAB hiring Trent Dilfer and Middle Tennessee hiring Eddie George. I think it's Middle Tennessee. Those are just reaches for a name. Deion has proved he could coach. These guys haven't. And UAB is kind of showing it, not making any progress. But they've had a couple of good years before this. Michigan with Jim Harbaugh back from his suspension. Nothing really changes. There was a lot of excitement in the stadium with him back. They do win over Rutgers 31-7. Rutgers started off 3-0. Big Ten season starts. We know they're going to be in trouble. Texas, after a bit of a scare last week at home against Wyoming, they go to Baylor and rip Baylor 38-6. Quinn Ewers with one touchdown, 293 yards yesterday. Texas defense looks really, really good. Florida State, we talked about. Good game for Travis yesterday. Interesting coaching, too, by Dabo Swinney at several times. Maybe Dabo's starting to run out of juice at Clemson. I love Dabo. And I think Dabo very may likely be the next coach at Alabama. But he may need to step away here, maybe recharge his batteries a little bit. I'm not sure. He's another guy who's a very polarizing figure because he does bring religion into the conversation a lot. And I'll jump back to your comments in just a second. USC rolls over a shorthanded Arizona State team. Penn State rolls over Iowa. Another bad offensive performance by Iowa. There's no doubt Brian Ferentz is going to get fired after this year. And maybe Kirk, his dad, leaves as well. Longest tenured coach, maybe in college major college football. Washington, another big performance at home offensively, 59, 32 points they give up, 13 of it in garbage time. So I don't know how much to put into that. We talked about Oregon's big win. Utah with a big win, really good defense. Somebody mentioned Utah earlier. They've got a great defense. They're winning 4-0 now without Cam Rising. Moore may continue to play, or not Moore, who played quarterback for, I want to say, Johnson, I think, right? What the hell's his name? Jesus Christ. Nate Johnson, right. He's played efficient football. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Cam Rising is ready to play. LSU had a big scare yesterday against Arkansas, 34-31. Arkansas probably will not help their, again, winning is all matters. We've talked about that, but, you know, Alabama, 24-10. Lane Kiffin cannot get a signature win. Alabama ripe for the picking. Mississippi State playing great football. Jackson Dart playing great football yesterday, not so much. They lose 24-10 at Alabama. Washington State, I talked about the big game. I thought they were really going to be a big showing for Ward, the quarterback. He throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Washington State holds on to win. They had a pretty good lead here, and they had to hold on in the fourth quarter to win this game, but great job by Washington State. They're now 4-0 and 1-0 in the Pac-12. Oklahoma, watch out. They win their first Big 12 game against an undermatched Cincinnati team, but on the road. Cincinnati just had a big win at Pittsburgh, who's down a little bit as well, to be quite frank. But good defensive game again. Defense was a big problem for Oklahoma last year with a defensive-minded head coach. Carolina wins at Pittsburgh. Duke rolls over UConn. UConn, a great story under Jim Mora last year. Not so much this year. 0-4, and they've been ugly. Tennessee throttles one of my Cinderella's, Texas San Antonio, 45-14. And Florida, after a big win last week against Tennessee, I don't know. They did win the game. Again, we say wins are what matters, but not a great performance against. And Jim, if you're listening, you might be. If you have things to do and can't pop on, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Where am I? Where did I leave off? I think I said that. Some of the kids, but with 26 and 34-year-olds, you're getting close to a minor league and the NFL. This is my problem. Drew and I talked about this with the delay, and then I go on a little bit. I forget. We got to find a way to put a little tag to your comments so I know which ones are tagged too. Maybe you should have kept some of the O and D linemen. He chose to send packing because they were overwhelmed on both sides of the lines. If we're talking about Colorado, I agree. And Rick, and your to give you some kudos, that was one of the comments you made on Wednesday night, which, again, similar to the Cincinnati-Alabama result, maybe even TCU and Georgia, I think to a lesser extent, that showed yesterday. Depth also shows. And, you don't have depth. They just don't have the talent either. You can get away, if you're as good or better than the other team at whatever, at half the positions, you can get away with that. They were the worst team in almost every position that I paid attention to yesterday. Because now they're playing better schools. They're not playing TCU, who lost the really good players to the NFL. They beat a Colorado State that they're going to out talent. You don't need to have depth. And the depth shows when your best player goes down. Anthony, I don't think Ohio State will go all the way with their quarterback. Their quarterback is not that good. McCord's played better. Not a great game for him yesterday, but the 3 games before that, he'd gotten better and better. He did lead this game-winning drive, which you cannot dismiss. Quarterbacks who have that innate ability to have a bad game. Again, I've watched great quarterbacks have horrible games. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback. But then when they need to dig down and dig deep for that game-winning drive, they find it. And he showed he had that mettle last night. But it's possible that quarterback will be their downfall. What's interesting, though, is they can overcome that a little bit if their defense is as good as it's showing last night, especially. Much improved over it's been the last couple of years. This team has not won a national championship under Ryan Day, basically because of their defense. But interesting, it's certainly a valid point. Oregon UCLA winner most likely won't get shut out of the playoffs. I agree, CA. Listen, I talked a lot Wednesday night, about is the Pac-10 more likely to get 0? Which school? The Pac-12 or the SEC? Which one was more likely or less likely? More likely to get in? Get no teams in or 2 teams in. There's a possibility the SEC goes with nobody. If Georgia doesn't live up to expectations, and I still think they will, it's very possible they don't get a team in this playoff. And it's very possible if they don't cannibalize each other in the Big 12, if Washington State and Oregon State don't knock off a USC or Washington. I like Washington here, not Oregon myself, CA. But you can say Oregon for the sake of this conversation. If those teams if they were to get to their conference championship game undefeated, or one of them's there with one loss and then they beat the undefeated team, I could see two teams getting in from the Pac-12 if they continue to play the kind of football they've played up until now. Now, again, once conference play starts, the conversations change, right? So we'll see. Why they were 1-11? They were awful. This team, again, they had no profile. The profile was low. They were the worst. They were the worst team in FBS 1A in the country. They're 133 last year. And they have not had, other than a handful of seasons, even 500 seasons. I think their top win total is 8 in the last 20 years. They won a national championship under Bill McCarthy in the 90s. But since then, they've had nothing. That's why they were 1-11. And again, that's why Deion's got to come in and turn over the roster. I get that. My problem more is, there's no loyalty to why give the kid a scholarship and then take it away from him? Help him find another spot, and I'm okay. But this was Deion's job one. That's why he has performed the way he has performed, to raise the profile of this school. The Rock. Look at the celebrities in Colorado last week. Looked like a USC game. Home game. Penn State has a defense not yet tested, I take it. You mean, CA? Listen, I've said this for years now. I've said it pretty much every year I've done this show. I think we're, heading towards our 4th year here next year, early next year. Yeah, whenever it is. I don't know. Time's difficult concept for me. James Franklin has got to beat Michigan and Ohio State in the same season. He's only 2-7, I think, against them overall at Penn State. And look, until you beat them on a regular basis, you're not going to be counted in the same light. It's not going to happen. We'll probably move on here for a little bit. LSU versus the Hogs was an entertaining game of mishaps. Yeah, listen, LSU is not showing me championship caliber football. Let's just put it at that. Between the Florida State loss, it looked like they bounced back a bit. But this game, Arkansas had made some steps forward, but they've started to go backwards, unfortunately. So we'll get Jim Bering in here, hopefully, to chat about this and more. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? We talked about LSU. We talked about that. We talked about Dabo. Talked about that. See if there's any new news in college football that I'm missing. We won't go through we'll do all that Wednesday night. What else? Football news. Listen, I loved Ryan Day's passion at the end of that game, by the way. I thought it was very good. We talked about Freeman defending his leaving the Irish shorthanded. He made a conscious decision to go with 10. Cinderella's story over. Ducks beat. We know that. Again, give Deion credit. No excuses after Buck. He says, we have no excuses. And by the way, the Pac-12 is just loaded with great quarterbacks. Cam Ward. Is it Cam Ward? I don't want to say his name wrong. We talked about the great coaches or the great quarterbacks again in the Pac-12. And it's very sad that this league is likely to have just one of their most exciting season in decades, as they're about to be burned to the ground. And anyway, the rest we pretty much talked about. We did have a woman play. Haley Van Voorhees became the first woman non-kicker. Remember, Vanderbilt had a woman field goal kicker a couple of years ago. She came in and kicked, I think, just one field goal. But Haley is a safety at Division III Shenendehowa University, became the first female non-kicker to appear in an NCAA football game on Saturday against Juanita. So again, not the highest levels of football, but Kenny, I'm not going to make any, disparaging remarks about this. Good for her. That's all I can say. I really don't want to go backwards, but I guess we're going to have to here after a while because I don't have Jim right now. Let's move on to the NFL. Week 2, interesting week. We have 3 survivors left in the survivor pool. If you're here, please identify yourselves because ESPN just won't show me who the hell they are. I don't remember which guys told me they were still alive. Anthony, I think you told me you were alive. CA may have told me he was alive. I do not, for the life of me, understand why they will not show me what's going on here. Little bit of news. Nick Chubb, I guess it's good news, only tore his MCL. He didn't have multiple tears. So theoretically, this will be better for him. The injuries around the league, though, again, the injuries around the league, the way they train and prepare for the regular season is leading to all of these injuries. Quarterbacks are at the highlight, and bad football. They have to change. And again, as long as the Players Association is going to negotiate this stuff, we're not going to get better play. You've had how many quarterbacks missing? Bryce Young's going to miss some games now. Anthony Richardson's been out. Who else? Joe Burrow's probably shouldn't be playing. I mean, here's a good question. Burrow's questionable for Monday. Are they rolling the dice? Are they rolling the dice in Cincinnati? Are they waiting, or not waiting, but are they leaving open the possibility of a Aaron Rodgers type injury for Burrow by letting him go out there with this bad calf? Obviously, they need to win football games. It's a tough division, and they know they need to win. So it's going to be very interesting. See what happens there. We had a trade this week. Cam Akers going to the Vikings. I don't know how Sherlock feels that will affect their running game. I do like the Vikings a little bit against the Chargers today. We'll go through the games here in a little bit. I don't know that that's going to have that big effect. Cam Akers, by the way, he'll probably get hurt. If not this week, then next week. Cam Akers is hurt all the time. And he's also not a top-level running back, in my mind. He had a good run during the Rams Super Bowl season, but otherwise, I don't think it's that big a deal. We got a couple of Deion knew he had no chance. He won't forget the run-up. Yeah, that's fine. He shouldn't. Listen, I don't have a problem with coaches run it up. I don't have a problem with coaches who take offense to it and then try to return the favor. Part of the game. Saints did lose Jamal Williams to the IR. Have to wait another week for Kamara. I'm not high on this Saints team. I'm just not. I mean, part of it is my Derek Carr issues. I guess they'll be in play all year because the South is just not that good. And we'll see what happens. Can't hurt, but it costs him nothing. It did cost him nothing. He'll probably get hurt soon enough. The Vikings, Vikings I think they need a win today at home against the Chargers, and I think I'm going to pick them. I'm not sure yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's look at the standings. I want to look at some of the 2-0 teams and the 0-2 teams and talk a little bit about the direction we think they're going. What do you got here? Dr. Watson, fine for being a donkey orifice again. That's a Dr. Watson. D. Watson. You know what? I broke my own promise. I said I would never say this guy's name on my show again. He said, this is a guy who's just never going to get it. The NFL missed the boat so badly by not taking a firm stance on Deshaun Watson and saying, bye-bye. Anyway, AFC East, Dolphins 2-0. Is this for real? Dolphins look really good. They did leave the Patriots a chance to beat them last week in that fourth quarter, got out quickly. This team is good. This team will win if Tua doesn't get hurt. But is anybody confident Tua won't get hurt? I'm not. But at this point, I've got to downgrade my prediction on the Jets, obviously, because of Rodgers being out. I think the demise of the Buffalo Bills is greatly exaggerated, as you saw last week, as they dismantled the Raiders. And I still think, I'm not surprised to see the Patriots 0-2. I know a lot of people are down on them before. 6.5 over-under prediction. Now, maybe they win 6 games. I'm not getting nervous with this team if they go 2-4. Until they're worse than 2-4, I have this team with 9 or 10 wins and in the playoffs, as they were 2 years ago when they were 2-4. Which I think they fell to after they played Dallas on a Sunday at 4:30, which, ironically enough, they will be playing in their 4th game, I think, next week. I'll be watching them on a cruise ship next week. I think the Patriots can rebound here. I don't think they're dead. I don't think they're in desperate trouble. I think they beat the Jets today. I think they beat the Saints in a couple of weeks. But, Dolphins could be for real. I don't think the Patriots need to struggle or be too concerned. Yes, I'd like to start winning some games. Yes. Waddle out may change Dolphins' offensive philosophy this week, possibly. I know they want to run the ball more. They haven't run it terribly effectively. They did have a big run last week to really kind of steal the game in Mostert, but 43-yard rush. I picked the Dolphins to finish last in this division, partly because of how good I thought the Jets would be. But look, Patriots split the division. They'll be all right. What do you got here? I thought I saw another. Here we go. Drew's got Ravens elevate Melvin Gordon and Kenyon Drake from the taxi squad. It seems every year. When was the last time they had a really good running back? Jamal Lewis? Every year somebody gets hurt. J.K. Dobbins was going to be a big star. He was going to be the next big star running back like 3 years ago, and he's been out for the season. Well, he played at least a game this year. 2 years ago, he got hurt in preseason. A lot of injuries, guys. I'm just saying. The NFL Players Association trying to protect their players have the opposite effect. Keep saying it. Ravens 2-0. To use that as a segue to my next 2-0 team. Should the Ravens be excited? Listen, Lamar Jackson's a great talent. As long as and we saw this last year, as long as Lamar Jackson's healthy, the Ravens will be a competitor for the playoffs. I think the Steelers are better than people think they are. I think Kenny Pickett will get better as the season goes on. I think they may go to Vegas and win this week. They beat the Browns last week and the criminal playing quarterback. And here you got an 0-2 team in this division as well, and it's the Bengals. Do we write off the Bengals because they're 0-2? They haven't looked great. Looked better last week. But their season hinges on Joe Burrow staying healthy. Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. This team's season is over. Which is why I might, take it on a bullet and lose another game. I think they can win this week if they sat Joe Burrow. Can they win week after week? No, they cannot. But I think this team will rebound, and I still think I still think they'll be a playoff team because I don't think the Browns are for real. No 2-0 teams in the AFC South, but we have an 0-2 teams in the Texans. They're bad. They haven't really been more competitive, I don't think. I think C.J. Stroud will be okay, but I think it's going to take him longer to develop than, say, Patrick Mahomes. Do I think he'll ever be Patrick Mahomes? I do not. I know Kenny's going to agree with me because he's an Ohio State quarterback. He's already got that going against him. I don't have a lot of argument. Although there haven't been a lot of great Notre Dame quarterbacks in the league in the last 30 years either, by the way. So again, I think that's a real problem there. That team is not going to win a lot of football games. You got 2 0-2 teams, one surprising, maybe not one surprising to some people, surprising to me. The Chargers 0-2. They've been without Eckler. I think you're right. I think he's out again this week. And they've been out. They've played close games. 63-58 is the point differential, -5. Same thing with the Broncos. They're 0-2. They've lost 2 close games, but winning close games is the difference maker in the NFL between playoff team and not a playoff team. I think the Chargers bounce back. The Raiders, I really have no confidence in. They're 1-1, but they've been outscored by 27 points. The Bills just dismantled them last week. They're not going to beat good football teams. I think the Chargers and Broncos both bounce back. I don't think the Broncos probably will make the playoffs. I do think the Chargers will. But I do expect the Broncos to be much better than last year's record. And Sean Payton's system may take a little time to take effect, and we need to see whether Russell Wilson can turn back the clock a little bit. Colts signed Trey Sermon to the active roster. That's I got to tell you, the Colts are 1-1. I do not like the makeup of this team. Richardson has played better than I thought he would. I could be wrong on him. I'm not sure yet. It's a very small body of work. But I'm not a big fan of Anthony Richardson, as you may know from watching me. Now, that doesn't mean he won't become a quarterback. I think he was overdrafted. Again, Daniel Jones overdrafted at number 6. Doesn't mean you won't make it ever. I just think he's a project. So maybe he's ahead of where I thought he'd be. Maybe he's not. Texas running game looks awful. Yeah. And the problem is that he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to either. In my mind. I mean, who are the receivers on this team? Take a quick look since we're talking about it. And guys, any comment you have, certainly put up here about anything we're talking about. We can jump around conversations. So wide receivers are Nico Collins, Robert Woods, who, again, his better days are behind him. Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz, I like at tight end, and I think he may have a decent year. John Mechie III, I like, but he's never healthy. So, again, having to have a rookie starter who is under the gun already have to throw the ball as much as this team does because they can't run the football. I thought Devin Singletary would actually help their running game, and it hasn't helped at all. Oops. What we got here? CA. Football since Friday evening. Blast yesterday. An NFL game schedule means nap time after early games until halftime of the horrible late games. We get a 1 o'clock game for a change, so I get to watch that game for a change with the boys. Not have to rush home. We'll get to the games here in a little bit. Is he out? I thought he was concussed. Who's that, Rick? I'm trying to look back at my. Not sure where that's from. Might be talking about Waddle. I'm not sure. Don Play, how are you, buddy? Much better, as I said the other day. Profile picture. I thank you and hope you understand my sense of humor. I didn't mean to make fun of you. Hope I didn't offend you the other day. Well, I do hope. I mean, if I did, I did. It's just me. But I love your profile picture now. It looks very nice. Hope that's you and your lovely significant other in that picture. But Don will be looking for some NFL plays, I'm sure, today, and we'll be glad to help you out. How did we do on our picks we gave you the other night? I think we did. We didn't do okay in North Carolina State. You might have won that first half bet, though. Waddle is both concussed and out because of it. Well, that makes sense. True clarifies the injury report for us perf guys. Oh, Richardson. I thought Richardson was out. Let's take a quick look at I thought he was out too, Rick. And I didn't see. Let's look at quick. He's out. Richardson is out. I do believe it's a concussion as well. Yes. I was talking about more of going forward than necessarily playing today. And Richardson is out, as True confirms. So, anyway, let's move on to the NFC East. You have 3 2-0 teams: Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, and it's very interesting. They're all obviously have a plus point differential. I think it'd be impossible to be 2-0 and not. I'm not a math major, but the big question is the Cowboys. Cowboys have played the Giants and who? The Jets. 70-10 is their point differential in 2 games. Now, the Jets and Giants both played horrible football, but you can't discount, again, as I always say, you can't totally discount or credit what you see on one side of the field without looking at what was going on the other side of the field. So is Dallas's defense that good? Or the Giants and Jets offense is that bad? And defenses, by the way, 70 points in 2 games is pretty good. I think the Cowboys will come back to earth here. I think the Eagles will still win this division. The Eagles are for real. They struggled against the Patriots in week 1, still won the game. They played a lot better. They ran for like 287 yards last week against the Vikings. This team is the best team in the NFC. I don't have them going to the Super Bowl, though, interestingly enough. At the moment, until they get beat, they're the NFC champions, so I like Seattle. So to me, the 2 interesting questions are Dallas and what we've seen so far. How much do we believe? I think they're not quite as good as what we've seen, and they will come back to earth. The Commanders have won a couple of interesting games and sit at 2-0. Sam Howell, their new starting quarterback. They get the Bills today at home. I like the Bills. I don't think I'm going to bet them, but I like them to cover this game. But I would not be shocked to see Washington win the football game. Again, I see them as being greatly overrated. And we're going to jump back because let me get these 2 comments out of the way, and we're going to bring Jim in, and we'll back up to real quick to do 15, 20 minutes on college with him because I screwed up not sending him an invite when I set up the show last night. Dallas has conquered New York City. So if there was a New York City league, they'd be easily going to win that, I think. And clarifying himself. Let's bring in Jim Beringer. We're going to take a step back. Good morning, Jim Beringer.
What's up, Keith? How we doing?
I'm so sorry. After I messaged you last night, I was busy getting some notes together and setting up the stream, and I realized about 8:45 that I never sent you the invite, and I was like, oh, what a dumbass.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm here.
So we'll take 15 or 20 minutes and back up. We talked about college football for about the first half hour, but I want to get your take on yesterday's events. Obviously, interesting in Colorado and Oregon, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Florida State, Clemson. The takeaway is we said Buffaloes would come crashing back to earth, and they did. What are your thoughts overall on yesterday's games?
Fun day, college football, especially on the East Coast if you were rainy weather. I mean, use the channel changer at 3:30 and 7:30 because that was the six-pack of the day. I mean, Clemson and Florida State didn't disappoint either.
I had two laptops going. I had the TV going. I had everything. I had games everywhere last night.
I mean, it was really good, really exciting football yesterday. Look, takeaway is this: Oregon's really good. We know Colorado was not in their league. Everybody knew that they were going to come crashing to earth. Oregon's just that good. Washington's good. Utah's good. Washington State may be the sneaky good team in that conference.
I don't remember where you are, but I loved them last night. I bet them last night myself.
Oh, I bet them last night myself too, and I said they were going to win at home. That team is very good at home. USC, look, the Pac-12 is still the best conference in the land right now. I think we kind of figured out who Alabama is yesterday. Really good defensively, can run the football. Jalen Milroe can throw it when he needs it, and that's pretty much how they're going to win. And Ole Miss did not even show up. Look, Jackson Dart, awful interception. Just they didn't play well. They didn't do anything well. They had Alabama down, and they just couldn't give them the knockout blow.
This is the perfect place for Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin doesn't really have that signature win on his resume that I can think of. Going to Alabama would have been up or down Alabama. This still would have been a signature win for him. He can't seem to get over the hump. They were set up to win that game yesterday, and they just could not take advantage.
No, and bad interception by Dart. They just couldn't handle the football. Poor tackling. Again, you see that a lot across college football. Poor tackling. But, I mean, you go to it. I mean, if you went in there, you had a chance to knock Alabama out of everything. Now they're still alive pretty much for everything.
Yeah.
That was the knockout shot. And you go over to South Bend, right? And everybody's telling me, oh, well, Notre Dame's still alive for the playoff. No, they're not. Like, I'm telling you.
No.
They're not. They're not eligible. They're like, well, name recognition. Yeah, tell me who's better than them. Tell me who's better than them right now, because I have a lot of teams. And here's the caveat: as much as the committee changes the rules, championship game still matters. You still play in a championship game; it still matters. So the Pac-12 could get 2 teams. The SEC is going to have a team. The Big Ten's having a team, and
2.
Yeah, or 2. Big 12's got to get a team potentially.
And
Look,
Duke and Florida State, one of them is very possibly going to be undefeated, and how are you going to leave that team out of the playoff?
Exactly. Why? Because Notre Dame, so they could crap the bed again in national television? There's no need. Look, Notre Dame played a really good game. Both teams played really good defense. They took away Marvin Harrison Jr., but Sam Hartman and the decision-making by both coaches in that game. Look, Kyle McCord saved Ryan Day's job last night. He did. He saved Ryan Day's job.
It was a great drive, and he didn't have a great night, but that was great.
No, but you think about it, Keith. Go back to the 4th down play. Why are you running that sweep play? I know it worked earlier, but you need an inch, less than an inch. You need to go to chip train them. That's how you won the game.
Yeah, I talked about that earlier. That was awful.
That was awful. And then Kyle McCord saved his job. So, I mean, you think about it. So, Ohio State's still alive. Michigan still looks good. I mean, look, hey, Rutgers is Rutgers, but Rutgers hung in there for half, and then the wheels fell off.
What are your thoughts, going back to Notre Dame, Ohio State for a second? The last play, well, not the last play, but the touchdown. Notre Dame has 10 men on the field. Freeman explains that, I didn't want to give them a chance to regroup. To me, to give up another 6 inches. Well, no, actually, he could have called timeout. He said he didn't want to get a chance to regroup and run a different play than what they thought they were going to run. And we've been better off going with 10. And I can't understand how you'd ever be better off going with 10 against 11, even if you know the play. So why not call timeout? Is he just making an excuse, or is that a legitimate coaching decision?
That's a bad coaching decision. That's bad all around, because the guys on the sideline, the players, the coordinators, somebody's got to be yelling at him, yo, 10 men, 10 men, 10 men. Like, got to regroup here, because maybe if they get the extra guy, train him doesn't get in. Maybe his knee goes down a half inch before the ball crosses. You don't know.
I think the coaching staff's got to hold themselves accountable for that, similar to what Dabo Sweeney did at the Florida State game when they had a 4th and 1 there in overtime, and they gave Klubnik the run pass option when it should have just been a run. And after the game, he says, "Well, we blew it. We got to make sure he runs the football there." And he took. After actually on the field, he looks like he called out his quarterback a little bit, but after the game, at least he took responsibility for what happened. We blew it as coaches. So
yeah, I mean, I think so. I think all these coaches, the clock management, the decision making has not been the greatest. Again, new rules, the new clock rules, and everything. But still, give Ohio State credit. They came back. They probably should have won the game outright, but Notre Dame's defense played well. But you go back to even before the drive. Why are you calling a pass play on 3rd down when you know Ohio State only has 1 timeout left?
Good play. Good call, right? For you.
No, I'm just thinking about it, because it's an incomplete pass. It stops the clock. It gives them essentially an extra timeout that they don't have.
Yeah.
And that timeout that they used on that drive is not there.
You don't think it's going to matter, but it matters, right?
It matters. Well, you look at it because now you have a pro rule now in college, and you see how these guys work.
It's still inside 2 minutes. The clock stops with a first
right,
down.
but still, it's still you gotta.
You can manage it outside of the 2 minutes, right?
Right.
That's all you have is that stop clockage at the first down. So, not good coaching. And again, to me, they have to fall on their swords a little bit. Do you want players to be accountable? Then coaches need to be accountable as well.
Look, Sam Hartman didn't have a great night. They didn't manage the football. They didn't really open it up too much. This is the Notre Dame offense we could see, but that's what happens when you play good defense.
That's the thing too, and we haven't talked about a lot. Is Ohio State's defense is a lot better. A lot better. I mean, this team would not have given up 14 points in the last couple of years. That would have been a 20 or 30 point game for Notre Dame, I think. Even though they didn't play well, you can't discount. I always say this: Sam Hartman had a bad game. Well, don't discount what he was being put in front of him on the other side of the football as well. So you got to give credit where credit's due. And Ohio State's defense is much better than it's been. Oregon's defense really good. Probably
really good.
Them or Utah. I don't know which yet. I think have the best 2 defenses in the Pac-12. That might be the difference maker at the end of the day when we have a conference winner, because the other teams, USC,
no defense
against a bad Arizona State team is not a good look last night, I don't think.
Well, how much do they give up next week against Colorado?
That's going to be an interesting test to see. If they give up 30 points to Colorado, the over-under in that game might be 90. But they better show up and shut that team down based on what we saw from Oregon the other day.
Oh, yeah, you have to go in there, and you just want guns blazing, really. You just want to go in there and shut them down.
What was the other Harbaugh comes back yesterday, not a big deal against Rutgers. Rutgers always refers to form. Everybody gets excited, and you're there in Jersey. I'm sure everybody was excited about the 3-0 start, but
everybody knew once Big Ten play happened. It's like, okay, and they hung with him for a half, right? They hung with him, and then it's just like, okay, here's Michigan coming through again as always.
The problem is it'll get worse from here. It'll snowball out of control against Ohio State and everybody else, and then this team needs to get out of the Big Ten. I mean,
they should have never gone to the Big Ten.
Oh.
Here's the thing. Like, you look at it, right? You look at the games from yesterday. Miami is still undefeated in the 8th, and they got a nice, their schedule coming up, right? You got Georgia Tech. That's probably a win at home, And then you could be 5-0. North Carolina could be 5-0 heading into that game. Man,
game. That'll be a big game. And the ACC is good this year.
they really are good, man.
Down, the ACC is really good.
Right, the SEC's down, the ACC's good, the Pac-12's good, the Big Ten's good, Big 12's a little down. Texas and Oklahoma doing what they're supposed to be doing. I think Texas will somehow win the conference just because I don't think anybody.
I think that's going to come down to the Red River Classic. I really do. Red River Rivalry. I think that's going to be the game that decides the Big 12.
We know what it really is. Okay, it's the Red River Shootout, but no one likes to call that anymore.
Because it's probably, politically incorrect, which we don't care about on this show.
Right, exactly.
So I think that Oklahoma's defense is much, much better. They haven't really been tested yet. I get that, but it's going to be interesting. That game will probably be coming up in a few weeks, I would think.
Yeah, a few weeks time now.
It's exciting as we get into conference play full-fledged. I mean, we've had a handful of conference games the first 3 weeks, but now we're really getting.
Now we're in the big games. Big games. Like Washington, man, that team is scary good.
Yeah. Listen, what they scored 59 again last night? They're averaging. Yeah. Well, Oregon's I think is averaging about 58 points a game.
Yeah.
Washington's not too far behind them. So as they start to play each other, that's the problem with the Pac-12. The only way the Pac-12 gets shut out of this playoff, and it could happen, is if these teams cannibalize each other because there's 6 really good teams.
Right, and one of them has to at least have one loss or be undefeated.
If they get a one loss, it's almost impossible for them to get 2 teams undefeated to the conference championship.
No, you can't do it. You can't do it.
There's so many good teams. But if they get an undefeated team and a one-loss team, and then a really, really close championship game, and the one-loss team beats the undefeated team, that's how I think they get 2 teams into the playoff. We'll see.
But need a lot of help.
Yeah, that one loss has got to not be a bad loss either, right?
No, it's got to be a close. Yeah. Like if Utah goes in, beats Oregon, and Utah ends up in a championship game, and we have a rematch, then all right.
I think it's much more likely that the Pac-12 gets 2 teams than, say, the SEC gets 2 teams, though.
Yeah.
As we stand right now.
Oh, 100%.
We could see and again, I'm still on Georgia until they get beat. I'm still on Georgia's bandwagon to win 3 in a row. But if they somehow implode, it's impossible. It's possible. There's no team from the SEC.
I doubt that happens, but
I
think they would take a one-loss conference champ over a Notre Dame.
No, but what if LSU is sitting over there with 2 losses and wins the championship?
Oh, then they may still take Georgia.
Whoever comes out of that other division is probably going to have we know they're going to have at least 1 loss.
Well, Alabama's already got 1 loss, and LSU's got 1 loss.
LSU's got 1 loss.
And they still got to play each other.
And they still have to play each other. So there's still a chance a 2-loss team gets into that playoff or conference championship game. And if they win, then the SEC could get left out. I don't know.
It was fun yesterday. It was fun on Sunday. A lot of good football.
I like that. We're heading into the meat of the season.
I mean, Malik Neighbors is all-star wide receiver for LSU, man. That kid is unbelievable. What he did against Arkansas yesterday. He had a hell of a game. That was a fun game to watch.
That's one game I did not see much of.
I flipped around, check it at the half, see what was going on, because I saw it was a high-scoring affair.
I mean, look at that. They got the best quarterback in the conference. I think Daniels is better than. Well, Dark didn't play yesterday. He played kind of through his
back is.
He's a good quarterback on a good team, but
yeah. Jalen Milroe's not great.
No.
Rattler stinks.
Ugh. Rattler. He plays great and then
stinks it up.
Never comes up big when he needs to. So
nope.
What are your final takeaways on this week? Anything that really surprised you? To me, it was as we pretty much talked about Wednesday night, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty much how everything went down. I mean, look, Oregon's that good. Colorado just is not in their league. They're not on the level. Yeah, Dion, hold receipts because you're not.
And we'll talk about this for a second because there's been some controversy. And
look, I liked what the Oregon coach said. I really did. He got his team fired up to play a football game.
Yeah, I think both coaches were well within their rights to do the way to do what they've done to get their teams up. Deion does what he does. He's got to raise the profile of that program, which is not job number one, which he has done with flying colors. Coaches are going to use that the way he's done that against him, as they should. And Dan Lanning did it. We don't play for clicks. We play for wins. You got to remember, that's the best line I've heard.
And his team came out like it, too. They basically treated Colorado like they were some 1AA school, and it was a stat game.
Anthony Price brought up on this show here a minute ago that I think it was Anthony, said that Colorado disrespected the logo of Oregon. I didn't see what happened there.
Yeah, they walked on the logo when they went into the field.
Oh, okay, well, people get too excited about
and then he had the quote at the halftime that we're not satisfied, we're not done, and it just reminds me of, like, if you guys have seen the Mighty Ducks, like the coach from the Hawks. It's just like, it's not worth winning if you can't win big. Like, that guy is that's awesome.
Yeah, that is a great line. To me, you just reckon the logo would be, Deion going out there and relieving himself.
I mean, you step on a logo. It's unwritten rule. You don't step on a logo, but
we talked about it, and I'm not sure if it was. I think it was during your segment on the college football huddle that coaches are going to use this as to fire their teams up about Colorado. And here's a team that's really done nothing, and they're getting all the pub. Well,
right.
Doesn't mean Deion's doing something wrong, but it does cause this problem on the other side.
Yeah, it does. And now you have USC coming to Boulder next week. Let's see what happens there.
And take receipts. Someday you'll cash them. You might, but
you might cash them. Maybe next year in the Big 12 you'll cash them.
Yeah, but you know what, Deion's. There's some guys holding receipts from you too. Just
right, exactly. All the guys that are against the transfer portal are holding receipts.
So the big losers this week, I think, are Deion and Lou Holtz. Probably
Lou Holtz, just don't open your mouth, dude. Like, come on. And look, I love watching college football final in the morning. They were talking about coaches, how the coaches don't listen to any of this stuff. They all come out, dude. They all listen to it. They all hear this crap, and that's the first thing they do is talk about that. They don't talk about the game at all. They just talk about what somebody else said. If you truly didn't hear it, it wouldn't bother you.
Oh, yeah. There's no way he didn't hear it. He just the game. And I had to love his passion. But Lou Holtz, by the way, great coach. Just stop putting him on TV. I mean, he's old. I get it. But shut up, Lou.
Look, dude, Ohio State's a different animal this year.
Now, I'll give Lou credit because, we talk about teams not winning national championships. Notre Dame hasn't won one in 35 years, and Lou Holtz was the last guy to bring one there. So.
And let's be honest, Ryan Day, what they just lost to Georgia last year. They played a hell of a game against Georgia last year.
I got a couple comments we'll go through before I let you go here. Upset pick. This was for next week. I'm not sure who Tennessee's playing, but we'll take a look at that Wednesday night. CA. They put up the big text. They put up big text at the Fairgrounds Friday and Red River shootout decorations going up. Awesome.
That's good to see.
Let's see how they react to the loss. I think we're talking about Colorado here.
Yeah.
Going to react is they're going to get blown out again next week. Then we'll see how they react when they play the rest of the league.
No, here we go. Yo, sneaky good game Friday. I know it's not Wednesday. Sneaky good game. Utah travels to Oregon State.
Wow, it's going to be a tough one. You'll see how State rebounds from a tough loss. They battled last night. They gave Washington State a scare at the end, but they put themselves in too big a hole last night.
Washington State came out guns blazing, man.
Absolutely.
Here you go. Another sneaky good one in the SEC. LSU Ole Miss. Does LSU get their second loss?
I'll tell you, there's a lot. There may not be undefeated teams at the end of this season.
Well, Notre Dame better be careful going to Durham next week.
That's a tough place to play right now. Duke is really good. Got a lot of confidence going. A lot of people thought they were going to fall flat in Connecticut yesterday, and they just annihilate them. Connecticut a great series last year, but Jim Mora just they're going backwards fast.
Yeah, going backwards fast. Not a lot of stuff going on for them.
Well,
I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, look, college football's here. You got a lot of good games, a lot of sneaky good games coming up, and look, we know what the teams are. Look, Florida State, another struggle against Clemson. Probably, I think we know who Florida State really is, and we're going to find out. Yeah, they're still undefeated, but they got help.
Good stuff, Jeb. Good stuff. Sorry about the screw up on the invite today. I promise I won't screw up your invite for Wednesday night if you're free.
I should be around. I mean, real quick, before I get out of here, I know you wrapped up the show, but
no, you're good.
Hockey underway, training camps, preseason, a couple of preseason games happened down under. That was really cool to see. Guys, check it out. Full Press Hockey got the latest, and NHLRumors.com got the latest. Steven Stamkos stuff coming out of Tampa. Disappointed about his not having a contract extension. He wanted it done, and he didn't get it done. So that's something to keep an eye on. Players coming out basically telling the media, hey, guys, we're not doing this daily play-by-play stuff anymore about my contract. I'm here to focus and play hockey. So a lot of great storylines entering this season with contracts, including Trevor Zegras, Nylander, Pedersen, Jamie Drysdale, and just so much great hockey around the way. A lot of good storylines, too, with teams, including Ottawa, Buffalo, Detroit. One of those three going to jump in. Could they jump in, make a playoff spot? Who's going to take some steps back this year? So a lot of stuff as training camps get underway. Preseason hockey here tonight as well.
Hard to believe the calendar is getting late, man. When we're talking about hockey, man.
Now hockey's here, college football's here, NFL, baseball, like everything's happening at once.
As Jim said, catch all his stuff on fullpresshockey.com. Catch his shows on LTS. He does a great job on Let's Talk Sports, and we love having him on our shows as well. And hopefully we'll see you Wednesday night, Jim. Let me know.
Absolutely. I'll let you know. Should be able to make it work. Talk some more college football. Get ready for another big weekend.
Yes. Can't wait. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Have a good Sunday. Stay out of the rain.
I'll try to stay out of the rain. Guys, enjoy your Sunday. Have a good day. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. The great Jim Beringer. I screwed up his invite earlier. We'll get back to the NFL here in a second once we catch up on a couple of comments. There could be 4 undefeated teams in the playoffs. I'm not sure. It's going to be very hard. It could happen. I mean, I just look at – I see a lot of parity around college football, and it just feels like it's not going to go. Hockey's always starting out. Alec, over in the UK, one thing I haven't heard him talk about was hockey. I know baseball he picked up this year more fervently. NFL's been his thing. Picked up hockey, and I think he became a Yankee fan and screwed us over, but I don't remember for sure. Ben Brothers again in Dallas. We'll talk more hockey for sure, but I can't get – there's just too much other stuff going on to get into hockey just yet. We'll let Jim give this quick update, but we just can't spend a lot of time on it. Let's get back to the NFL because we still got Major League Baseball to cover. And where did I leave off here? We're going to talk about 2-0 teams. I'm going to do this real quick, finish up, and then go to the picks, and we'll go to Major League Baseball. You guys, nobody's identified themselves as survivors. Is it CA and Anthony? Are you still alive in the survivor pool? And maybe it was Alan. ESPN's just wonderful not letting me see who actually was in the pool. We talked about the East 2-0 teams in the NFC North. Rick Sherlock's beloved Vikings 0-2. The team I picked to win the division, the Bears. The Bears are imploding before our eyes. This was probably the worst pick I made in preseason, thinking this team was ready to take a step forward. Josh Fields called out the coaching staff and pretty much said, I'm going out and playing my football, not staying in the pocket. The defensive coordinator gets arrested with the FBI raiding his house, reportedly raiding Hallis Hall, although the team has refuted that. We don't know what went on there. We have no clue. He stepped aside for health reasons. So there's just a lot of disarray in Chicago, and I do not see them rebounding from this. The Vikings, I think the Vikings can rebound. The question is going to be the Lions. Are they improved on defense? Is Goff really? I almost said an elite quarterback. That would have been a stupid thing to say. Are the Packers for real? Jordan Love's played pretty good. They lost a close game in Atlanta last week. I like them to win today at home against, I think, New Orleans. We'll go through the games in a second. So again, the 0-2 teams there. I think the Bears are in trouble, and I think the Vikings will find a way to bounce back. The 2-0 team, we got 3 2-0 teams in the South who I've been bashing forever. Atlanta 2-0, the Saints 2-0, the Buccaneers 2-0. Is this for real? Atlanta's played some pretty good defense. Ritter's played well at times on offense. They've got some weapons on offense. The Saints, their running game is going to be in big trouble. Williams is out, as Drew said earlier. Kamara's still a couple of, at least a week away. I think, well, is he even going to be ready to play, though, is the question, right, Drew? And the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield playing decent football. I don't know. I would have thought somebody win this division at 8-9 or 9-8. And the Panthers at 0-2. That one's for real. The Panthers are bad. So I'm going to say the Falcons might be for real. And the Saints might be for real. I'm expecting the Bucs to step back a little bit. It's funny. I picked the Bucs to win this division. Now I'm taking the Falcons after watching 2 games. Out west, you got San Francisco already has played 3 games. They're 3-0. They're for real. This is a great football team. They've already scored 90 points. Shanahan's a great play caller. They've got athletes all over the field. The defense is really good. 42 points in 3 games. And the 0-2 team is the Cardinals, and that's for real. They are probably, I think they're the worst team in football. Game a little closer than it needed to be last week with the Giants. In my survivor pools, it may be whoever plays Arizona every week will be my pick. I think I'm taking Dallas in the survivor pools today. What do we got here? Good morning, Bill Pulver. Good to see you. Billy's a survivor. That's the other one I couldn't think of. Hadn't the Bills. Not sure. Oh, I think CA's yeah. CA. How do you get an extra NT? And missing it is what I do. Anyway, let's get to the games today until we can move on to some Major League Baseball. We'll see what other news is going on in the NFL. I'm sure Drew's lock and loaded for Major League Baseball. Let's get to the games here. Going to give you my games. Sorry, Billy. We're going to start with the Patriots at the Jets, -2.5. Probably going to be some weather in this game. Mac Jones against the Jet defense, which is really good. Zach Wilson against Bill Belichick in that New England defense, which has played well. The Patriots have played well enough to win both games. Shoot themselves in the foot with some stupid penalties here and there, falling behind consistently. I don't see them falling behind here. Mac Jones has played well enough to win these 2 games. He's not the reason they're 0-2. I'm still confident in this team. Again, I said before, this team could be 2-4, which is very possible, and I would expect them to still make the playoffs. Titans and Browns. Titans visiting the Browns. Cleveland's 3.5. I'm going to have to take the criminally led Browns in this game minus the 3.5. The Lions at home against the Falcons -3.5. This is an interesting game. I'm going to take the points in the Falcons in this game. Just again, Jared Goff played pretty well. The defense still leaves a little to be desired, but Bijan Robinson's played well. Ritter's played well enough. I'm going to take the Falcons on the road here. I like the Packers at home -1 against the Saints, who are 2-0. So I think we see one of those 2-0 teams go away today. The Broncos are 6-point underdogs at Miami. I'd love to jump all over the Broncos here because I thought they would be a better team than they are right now with Sean Payton there, and I thought Russell Wilson would take well to Sean Payton. Has not happened yet. I'll take the Dolphins at home -6. The Chargers go to Minnesota. Chargers a big disappointment at 0-2. Coach out there, Jeff name is escaping me all of a sudden. Hadley is going to be in trouble. He's in trouble. They're still without Eckler. Kirk Cousins has played really good football in these 2 games, thrown for 708 yards already, 6 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. He is not the problem here in Minnesota. Defense needs to play better. And by the way, Jefferson also on fire with over 309 yards receiving so far. The Bills go to the Commanders. Bills are -5.5. I'll take the Bills here, but the Commanders, one of those surprising 2-0 teams, might give them a tussle here. We could see weather, by the way, in New Jersey. I don't know why they're called the New York Jets. You can ask the state of New Jersey and the state of New York why they allow that. That's up to you. I don't understand it myself. Weather problems there, probably weather problems in D.C. And up some other places on the coast. So we'll see how that affects these games. But I like the Bills today. The demise of the Bills is greatly overrated in my mind. And you guys feel free to add your comments, and I will jump into them after this. So any of your comments about these games or other stuff with the NFL, and then we'll wrap up the NFL portion and move on to some MLB talk or whatever you guys want to chat about. Texans will travel to the Jaguars, -7.5. I like the Jags here, -7.5. This might be a bet for me today. I just don't like the Texans. As Drew mentioned earlier, the running game's awful. The weapons that C.J. Stroud has got to throw to are not that good. Although Nico Collins does have 13 receptions for 226 yards in 2 games. So he's the big surprise of this season for him. And C.J. Stroud has thrown for a couple touchdowns and 600 yards. But you can't rely on your rookie quarterback this way. The Ravens and the Colts, as we said, Anthony Richardson is out. Baltimore's 8 in this game. I'm going to have to take the 8, lay the 8, and I don't even know who's playing quarterback for the Colts, and I don't care. The one team that will be a bet for me today are the Seahawks, -5 against the Panthers. Geno Smith, 440 yards and 3 touchdowns so far. And Metcalf with 9 catches on the season. I like the Seahawks. My Super Bowl pick, sticking with them. Bears, total disarray. As I said, defensive coordinator resigns, FBI all over his house, all over supposedly Hallis Hall. Josh Fields not on the same page with the coaches, calls them out in the press conference on Monday, said, "You're going to see me play my game." We'll see how that works out today. You can't turn Josh Fields into a pocket quarterback. I can tell that. If you're not going to let him do his thing, then there's probably no reason to have him on the field. I like the Chiefs -12.5 here. The Cowboys will go to the Cardinals. Cardinals are awful, -13. I'll take the Cowboys less the points. They're going to roll it up again, and the Cowboy fans are going to get really excited at 3-0, and we're going to see how that plays out. The Steelers go to the Raiders, and I find this an interesting game. Kenny Pickett, who's been getting ripped, he has thrown 3 interceptions on the year, but he also led this team to a win over the criminally led Browns last Monday night. A short week. They do get the 8:00 start at the Raiders. I'm taking the points in Pittsburgh in this game. They're getting 2.5. I will take those points. I'm just not sold on the Raiders. Thursday, we already saw. We lost. We know the 49ers just rolled over the Giants. Ugly. 2 games again Monday night. I think this is the last Monday night with 2 games at 7:16. The Eagles will play the Bucks, and I think the Bucks they'll come crashing to earth, similar to the Colorado Buffaloes yesterday. Phillies 5 on the road here. I'll lay the 5 points, and I think that the Eagles will probably hold this team to very few points. Although Baker Mayfield, as I said, has played pretty well. Mike Evans wanting that new contract. If this team were to play badly, could be a midseason trade potential, but he's got 12 receptions already for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams and Bengals, I'm a little worried here because the Rams have played better than expected, especially with a win at Seattle. Bengals 0-2. Big worries about Burrow and his calf, and then, to me, if they keep running him out there, it's possible they run the potential of a Aaron Rodgers type situation. But at the same time, they need to win football games and need to start winning them quickly. And without Joe Burrow, I'm not sure they can do that. So he'll be a game time decision. I'm going to take the Bengals minus the 2.5 regardless. So let's see what we got here. I see a comment already that's making me laugh a little bit. That's it. When you see the clip in the Fantasy Football League chat, you'll know. Thanks for the idea, which will be soon. It's interesting. I'm not sure what the idea was. The Fantasy Football League I think I'm off to a 2-0 start. Bill Pulver, this is Zach's day. We win. I wouldn't expect you to pick against your team. Nor would I did pick against my team against the Eagles. I just think 14 in a row you've lost. You've got that monkey on your back. Zach Wilson has not been able to figure it out. Zach Wilson needs to slow the game down. The game still has not slowed down for him. And I thought he'd be a really good NFL quarterback. I really did. He still might be. And I think we might find out about Aaron Rodgers and what kind of teammate he is, depending on what he does the rest of this year, when he can, to help Rodgers out. And talk is that he has been communicating with Rodgers and coaching him up, via satellite, if you will. Dave Guyette just heard that the Jets game is canceled because of the storm. Someone said they heard it on the news. I have not heard that. Has anybody else heard that? Let me go to, I just refreshed my NFL news. I don't have that. Anybody else got anything on the Pats Jets game? We'll find out. I'm looking for news. We got a forecast. Wet and windy afternoon. The game will be bad. It'll be sloppy. It is not canceled. So I think that you got some bad information there, Dave. Merle, as we get ready to move into baseball, the Marlins, who are in the thick of a playoff race, lose two of their best pitchers done for the year, Alcantara and Yuri Perez. Acuna goes 40 for 40. I have that on my fifth player ever, by the way, to do that. The other five, let's see, who are the other five? And we'll go back to some Major League Baseball talk, or NFL talk, if you do have one more. Who's in that 40 for 40 club? Canseco's in it. See if I can do it without looking. I'm not looking yet. I think Bobby Bonds fell just short. Boy, all I got is Canseco. Who is part of this club? Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds should have got that one. A-Rod, Alfonso Soriano is not a guy I would have picked to be in this club. Congrats to Acuna, by the way. Great player, National League MVP, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Kershaw passes Drysdale and Dodger wins. Drysdale had a short career, though, too. By the way, that's no small accomplishment today because, players aren't winning 20 games a season the way they did back in Drysdale's day. Texas all in on DeGrom, Scherzer, and it's Montgomery who saves their butts. And he may resign there, too. I wouldn't be surprised if he resigns there. And the Rangers, by the way, I tried to bury him a couple times. The most important part of the season, and they win 4 straight games. Still got a big stretch of games to go here, and we'll look at that in a second. But kudos to the Rangers. Everything's flip-flops, and we talked on Friday, Drew. Rangers are in, Mariners are out. I think the National League's flipped, too. I got to get the schedule up, or the standings up, but I want to make sure we could rant about what happened to moist towelettes at KFC. I really missed them. This is definitely a stream of consciousness topic. But I will say, moist towelettes have gone away almost at all of these establishments. I don't get them anywhere I go out and have wings. I think I might have got them at Buffalo Wild Wings here a couple weeks ago. But the recovery room I used to go to, they stopped giving them out. Smoky Bones, I think they gave them out. Actually, they didn't last time we were there, but my wife had kept some from the last time we were there. So, excellent point, CA, and I think something that needs to be brought to the attention of the country. State of Texas up, people. Right? Yeah. Astros right now clean to the last playoff spot. I boldly stated and backed up my and doubled down, I guess, on my preseason prediction that it would be Astros and Mariners, and that the Rangers would be left out. It's not looking quite as likely now, for sure. So let's dive into that, by the way. So anyway, talking about the let me put the right banner up since we've changed topics here. Where are we? 10 after 11. We can go a few minutes late if we have to. By the way, so yes, we're going to look at the some teams have clinched, some teams have are still fighting. We talked about Acuna going 40 for 40. Congratulations to him. Great season. That's a great accomplishment. One of the underrated things in baseball. Aaron Judge, in the midst of a horrible Yankee season, sets a Yankee record by hitting 3 home runs in a game for the second time this year. Look at Aaron Judge has had a great season. If he had not, and I'm not telling you that if he had not missed a month and a half, 2 months, pretty much, the Yankees would be in this because it was always a very flawed team. But for Aaron Judge's sake, it's a shame that he missed it. And it's a freak injury too, by the way. So, good stuff there. What do you got here? Yeah, we missed a few here. Oh, I got Don Play here. Don Play's looking for some picks, I'm sure. Pat's -2.5, or who's ML at -150? Oh, money line. I might bet the money line here. I like the game. It's possible. It's very possible it's going to be 1 or 2 point game. I like the Pats a lot. I would probably bet the money line here to be safe. The Chargers win today, you think? I like Minnesota -1 at home here, Don. You're the only man I know has good information. Thanks, Don. I mean, maybe I should be charging for this stuff. How much is it worth to you to continue to give you picks, my friend? Kidding you. I'll give you picks. Last night I lost my parlay on Wake Forest -7. They suck. Just to give you my prowess yesterday was very good. Didn't look great. I had Notre Dame +3.5. I had Florida State -2.5. I had Washington State +3.5 at home. Those were my straight up bets. And then just for fun, I bet a parlay on DraftKings, Texas and over in the USC game, and we won that. So a really good day yesterday. So I'm sure I'll go over today in the NFL. Dooley here. Chris Dulich, how are you, buddy? Good to have you with us. You need a 1 o'clock lock, straight up survivor. Already used Raiders and KC, have 2 picks. Dallas. This one's easy. I'll be on Dallas in both my survivor pools, Dulich. Good to have you with us, though. Thanks for joining the show. Love to have new viewers and hope you're doing well. Good friend of my good friend Mark's son Chris. Dulich is well known around the Amsterdam area, but Dallas. I don't think Detroit's really a lock today for this. And it's been a tough 3 weeks in survivor pools. I'll tell you, the one I'm in that's the big entry and it's worth over $100,000. They lost. I think close to half the pool is out already. So, and we're still alive. So I'm going with Dallas in that one. I'm going Dallas in a smaller one than I'm in as well. Philly ready to wrap up their postseason spot. They've pretty much been in, I think. And Padres did streak. They did make a good run, the Padres, here at the end, but they're probably done. Excuse me, Jesus. Sorry about that. Pirates playing spoilers against the Reds. Yeah, Ross, the manager for the Cubs, David Ross didn't have to. He apologized for some comments he made about the Pirates after they lost, I think, 2 out of 3 to the Pirates. That, they're not a better team than us. We can't be losing games to teams like the Pirates. What's wrong? why can't we just speak what we want? Why you got to apologize? Royals win 5 in a row to avoid the A's. The A's win 2 in a row to try to quiet Keane. The A's let me down big time this year. I really, really thought they were going to make a run at that 121 loss record, but they didn't do it. Dooley, I already got you, Dulich. I went back to you somehow. Sorry about that. Anthony Rendon, I do remember him. Remember when he was a good player? Injured for the 1,316th time to close the season. Drew has been, I got to tell you, Drew's been really good with the comedy this week, I have to tell you. Since last Sunday, he's been on a roll. Got to love it. Any other information you need, Duelist, you just let me know. Please like and share the show. Go to TGI Sports Talk and invite your friends if you would. And join us join us Wednesday nights for the college football huddle. We do all the picks there as well for college football. And on Fridays, we do the NFL. So let's get back to the Major League Baseball. Drew caught us up on much of the news. Let's look at the standings while we have a second. Let's look at we had clinchers. Milwaukee clinched Friday night in a laugher against the Marlins, 16-1, I think was the final. Their first baseman, Tellez, was the pitcher on the mound. You don't often see a position player on the mound for the wrap-up or the division clincher, and he happened to be on the mound for that. So they wrapped up their division. The Twins wrapped up their division. No surprises there. Baltimore and Tampa Bay have been having a great series here, and still 1.5 games as we head into the deciding game today. And we talked about the American League West, which is kind of flip-flopped very quickly. The Astros now 1.5 games behind the Rangers, who have won 4 in a row, while the Astros and Mariners both have lost their last couple games. And the Astros going 3-7 in their last 10. So they've got 1.5 games lead, and the Mariners have fallen 2 games behind. Now, don't forget, there's a bunch of games left between the Rangers and the Mariners, too. So this is going to be an interesting fight right down to the wire. We mentioned Milwaukee wrapping it up. The Cubs have now fallen out of that race. And obviously the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Braves and Dodgers had already wrapped up their divisions prior to this. The wild card standings, though, the American League, now the Mariners are on the outside looking in. The Astros are now a wild card participant and only 1/2 game ahead of the Mariners. The Blue Jays holding on to that second spot. Rays have clinched their spot in the postseason, as we talked about. And the Phillies are very close in the National League. Yankees still have not been eliminated yet. Judge will continue to play. Judge, it looks like, will get shut down once the Yankees are officially eliminated, which could come as soon as today. But the Yankees, again, 78-76, trying to keep that record of would be 31 straight seasons over 500, trying to chase down the Montreal Canadiens, who did it 39 years in a row as the best records in major sports. We'll see how that goes. I think it's something to keep interest anyway. I remember with my latest predictions a few weeks ago, I had said the Rays were in, obviously. I had the Astros winning the West, the Mariners, and the Blue Jays getting the remaining wild cards. That may now be in trouble. In the National League, the Phillies, as Drew said, about to wrap it up, could come as soon as today. They won 4 in a row. There's no streakier team in baseball than this Philly team. They get hot in the playoffs, just like last year. They could do anything. I'll get to these comments here in a second, too. Diamondbacks with just a 1/2 game lead over the Cubs. I said the Cubs would fall out of this, fall behind the Marlins, but they're hanging tough, won their last 2. They hold on to that last spot by just a game over the Marlins. The Reds now 2.5 back. It's going to get tougher for the Reds as they got 2 teams ahead of them now. And the Giants theoretically still in it at 4. The Padres not officially eliminated at 5. Even the Pirates are still alive at 7 games back. Pirates playing some game baseball. I'll give them credit. but you know, you got to make a playoff sooner or later. Where are you, Mark Mancini? Where are we, Drew? I don't see where we left off. That's the one we left off on. I think Anthony. That's the one we left off on. On the fantasy baseball playoff side, nobody cares. Just kidding. Drew beat me out by a game, one game last week. If you remember, I was talking about our great race we had going on for the fourth and final spot in the playoffs. My team imploded the last 2 days, and Drew just came from well behind to take me by a game. So congratulations to him. Rick and Rick Sherlock, our own Rick Sherlock, are beating the crap out of each other. Going down to the last day, the matchup tied 10-10 for a place in the final. Good luck to you both. I will not pick a side and alienate either one of you, at least not on the air. Go, Rick. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Just kidding, Drew. H-Town, Seattle, Tampa, Arizona, Cincinnati win today. Maybe I'll put that parlay in for $10 or something. I ought to pay some money. CA with that call there. What else did we miss in baseball today or around anywhere? What else is going on in sports we didn't talk about? I guess I got my survivors right. It's Billy, CA, and Anthony. Is that right? I hope. Rangers are hot again. We talked about that. Good job by them, I got to tell you. Alcantara done. We talked about Acuna done. Talked about Rowdy Tellez pitching. We just checked the Athletic. They often have something for us to talk about. If not, we're going to probably wrap it up a little bit early. I do have some company still here, and I got to leave in a little bit. But look, what a great weekend. I love late September, middle to late September into October, because we've got baseball pennant races, soon to be playoff races. We've got college football in full gear now. We're getting into conference play, which makes it even more exciting. We've got the NFL swinging into hopefully starting to play better games now that, we've played a few real games and get past some of the injuries and whatnot. But there's no better time for sports than this time. Next week, a couple of program reminders. So we will be on live Wednesday from the studio with the College Football Huddle at 7 p.m. Catch us on TGI Sports Talk, Northeast Streaming Sports. Let's talk sports. Excuse me. Keepers. I lost my train of thought. The Are You Serious show will be on hiatus the next 2 weeks. I'll try to do something. Carlos is not with us today. I haven't even informed Carlos, but we start vacation in the morning. I've got to get the cat to the vet. I'll probably be on with Mac and Jack at 9 o'clock for a bit. But I got to finish up my work week, and we are leaving on vacation, which means the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, the next 2 Sundays, I will find a way to get on the air. But we will not be on probably at 8:30. It'll probably be hit and miss. So watch. I'll try to put an announcement out before I'm going to go live, just so you guys know if you want to come participate. It'll be hit and miss. I won't be terribly prepared, but we'll just play off your comments and topics. So make sure you come prepared the next couple of Sundays, and we'll find a way to spend a few minutes together. Next Sunday, for sure, we can't do it in the morning because I'll be on an airplane, I believe. No, I won't. I'll be in a hotel room. We'll be heading to the port. Maybe when I get on the ship, we'll do a show for an hour or so. We'll see how that goes. I also got a football game to get ready for while we're on the ship. So there is that. What do you got here? Max Kellerman. Oh, I thought you said Max Kellerman. Max Verstappen wins his 13 race in F1. Not quite sure why other teams continue to participate. I have no idea who he is or that he had won 13 in a row, but congratulations to him. Auto racing, never something I got into and something we don't talk a lot about here, but happy to report the stories that as they happen. So good job to him. Congratulations to him. Just looking at some other sports outside of the Newscript streaming again like last year. I will try to do my best, and hopefully we'll see how the internet is on the Celebration, one of the newer ships. So we'll see whether it's any better or worse. I know sometimes, like Rick will tell me it's really good, and then I'll go back and I'll watch the show after, and I go, oh my God, that was awful. But we'll play it by ear. So yes, at some point during the day, the next 2 Sundays, because Sunday I'll be on the ship. The following Sunday we'll be traveling home. But we'll find some time. I'm sure I got some airport time to sit and do an hour or whatever. Probably got plenty of it actually. So we'll be on it sometime. I'll give you guys an update during the week. I'll come on ad hoc. I may even we'll do our Major League Baseball update next Friday, by the way, Drew, just so you know, from the studio. And the following week, we'll try to do something ad hoc there as well, on the fly, as it were. Wi-Fi quality on the ships depends on how much Keith has had to drink. Drew continues his comedy tour. You can see Drew here every Sunday morning at 8:30 to 10:30. He'll be here all week. That's a good one, actually. I try to do the shows before I've had too much to drink, but there's been a couple times. The next Michael Schumacher. Now, that name I know, but it's been a while since Michael Schumacher raced, right? Schumacher, I suppose would be the right way to say his name. I mean, if we want to talk about other sports, Against Asafa shatters women's marathon record in Brooklyn. She ran it in 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 53 seconds, beating the previous record by nearly 3 minutes, at least 2.5 minutes, except by, no surprise, a Kenyan, Brigid Kosigi. I should probably not get into these names, I'm guessing, right? So there's some interesting news that we don't normally talk about here. By the way, there was a new sport last night I saw on ESPN. I talked about the championships of pillow fighting that we saw about a month ago, foot golf. Last night, it was the air hockey championships, which I loved playing air hockey when I was a kid. Did not know there were professionals in air hockey any more than I knew that there were professional pillow fighters. The next Sam Kinison. I'm going to be the next Sam Kinison, man. That's a good one. Excellent. We're going to end it with that. It's a great line. Oh, God. Well, listen, guys, great show. As you guys always help carry this show along, Drew, PA, Billy, Anthony, Kenny, Rick, Dooley, thanks for showing up today. Who'd I miss? Don, hope we gave you some winners today. And if I missed somebody, I apologize. Ian, who was with us earlier from Australia, our big Australian collaborate. Let the hair grow out. Grow that hair. I'm getting a haircut before I go. I can't. I gotta have a cruise cut, man. Low maintenance. All right, guys. You have a great Sunday. Enjoy the football. I'll be off to watch the Jets and Patriots from my favorite watering hole. Wish us luck. And Godspeed. Have a great Sunday, guys.